All right, guys, what is up? You are back for another video of Data Zero. This is your weekly outlook and prediction. This video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. Please do your own research and due diligence for buying any stock or crypto asset. That being said, let's hop into charts, facts, data showing you what is going on for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bullish on the memes, okay? And I'm going to tell you why I'm bullish on the memes and I'm bearish or semi-bearish on SPY. I'm going to break down why with the charts, facts, and data, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to point out that last week I did call for a green week here for GME. You guys can see GME was green, and I did call for a red week on SPY. And if you look at the numbers at the top of your screen here, the 0.20%, we were down on SPY with the red week. Yes, the candle was green because we dumped down and pushed up, but overall for the weekly close, we were red. So we did have a red week for SPY and a green week for GME. Green weeks for the meme stocks in general, ladies and gentlemen, as AMC also was able to pull off a green week. And I think we're going to see a continuation of this, but I think what we're going to see is even more green for the memes and even more red for SPY. And I'm going to break down why. Now, we always have to worry about the potentiality of the market absolutely capitulating, and that could pull everything down like we saw the day when we absolutely dumped outside of this rising wedge. But let's go ahead and show you guys here what's going on. Also, there hasn't been much news with the meme stocks. I talked about a lot of stuff earlier on my other videos about how Ryan Cohen is incentivized to get GME to 100 billion. We talked about how the box offices have been improving. AMC is going to be showing the Olympics. There was supposed to be an interview on the Charles Payne show with Ryan Cohen. We talked about all of these things, but the most recent news that I can find is just speculation. People are speculating, and I don't know if this is true, and I don't know if this video will be out in time before the Super Bowl starts, but there's supposed to be a potential GME commercial on the Super Bowl. Now, I'm just saying this is speculation at this point, but again, there is a potential for a chance, or at least rumors going around on Twitter, that there's going to be some type of commercial involving GME on the Super Bowl. So maybe you guys keep your eyes peeled for that if you are watching. I did do a poll on my channel. A lot of you guys say you aren't watching, and I'm not going to be watching either. I think it's enjoyable as entertainment, but I kind of think it's rigged, but that's just my opinion. Don't take my opinion seriously. I don't watch sports. So as you guys can see here, let's go ahead and hop into GME and show you guys what's going on as far as technicals are concerned. GME, I think, is going to be pushing to the upside past $25 once and for all. Okay, $25, I told you guys, is the level that we need to break and hold to really blast off. To really secure it, we need to be above 25.27. That's going to be even more confirmation that we're about to definitely push up higher. Once we break above 25, we're going to go straight to like 27, $28, and that's why they don't want us above $25. We're in the middle of playing out a double bottom right now. Also, we have this huge macro falling wedge in play, and it's all of these things are saying that we're about to push up here on GME past $28 to $30. And of course, if GME is able to get to 32 or higher, not only will warrants gain an exponential ton of value, because every dollar over 32 gives an instant arbitrage, because you can execute GME warrants for a share at $32. And on top of that, we also have the major support and resistance zone of $30 to $32, which when we break above, you guys can see we like to blast off. And I believe we would blast off, since we've been accumulating so long, that if we got above $30 to $32 and held, we would get a decent pop to the upside as high as 40, 50, maybe even $60 or higher here on GME. So they are fighting tooth and nail not to let these things happen, because if we get above 25, then the next step happens and it's a cascading effect. So they're fighting tooth and nail to stop us from playing out this double bottom and getting past $25. But I think this week we get past $25, which means this week we should see some decent upside for GME, if I am correct, and if we are able to break above $25. What I think we could see here on Monday is a little bit of consolidation sideways. It could start off a little bit slow in the beginning of the week, but I do think by the end of the week, GME should be able to break and hold 25 and see a decent pop to the upside, giving GME overall a green week. Again, 25 is where we need to be first. Then we have resistance at 26.01. Then it's going to be like 27. and then 27.50. But we have this gap fill here starting at about 28.10 to 28.38, and then we have a gap fill at about 29.42 to 29.65, and those gaps are on the daily time frame. So I do expect a decent move up here for GME, probably as high as at least $27 in my personal opinion coming this week. AMC also looks extremely good to potentially push up. AMC is in fact making a decent move to the upside. As you guys can see here, we've been making higher lows. We're in an overall uptrend. We just broke out of this falling wedge, and we broke above this sloping support and resistance. These are all very, very, very bullish signs here for AMC that we're actually going to see a continuation to the upside. I'm surprised they haven't sold shares yet because, again, we are after that February 2nd date where they can do at the market offering. So we do have to be aware of that. That could happen and derail everything. But I think they're trying to let price go a little bit higher before they do that. But shorts are definitely getting desperate. Now, I want you guys to notice something very critical here about AMC. RSI is trending up and volume is trending up. This is what a bottom looks like, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to give people too much hope, but I believe AMC is forming what will at least be a local bottom. Now, we've been in an overall downtrend. So what I mean by a local bottom is we can bottom and then move up, but that doesn't mean we can't, in the future go down and make a new low. But I think we're getting ready to form a local bottom where we're going to see a relief from this overall downtrend that we have been in for literally weeks, ladies and gentlemen. We've just been bleeding to the downside. I think some of the dilution is getting priced in. So this is bullish in my personal opinion. And I believe that AMC is actually getting ready to move up. What we need to see to confirm that, though, is we need to see a break above $1.50, ladies and gentlemen. If AMC is able to break and hold $1.50, we're going to see a decent pop to the upside towards 155, 160. Now, if AMC is able to actually go up to $2, that's where I get excited, because at $2, that's where things could get explosive. More calls will go into the money. It's a major level of support and resistance. It's a psychological level. We could see a decent pop to the upside if AMC is able to get back up to $2. But we need to let AMC get above 150 first. Again, it's like a cascading thing of events. Once one dam breaks, we go to the next, and then that dam breaks, and then we go to the next. So they're trying to keep us away from 150. They've been battling us all week the same way they've been battling to keep GME under 25. They've been battling us for quite some time, as both of the meme stocks are trying to push up. And I believe the potentiality of SPY pulling back and silver being so high and everything going on, I think there's a lot of liquidity issues going on, and I think that's where even margin calls could come into play, and that's why shorts are under much pressure. So AMC, I think, is going to be having a green week too, in my personal opinion, probably pushing up to 155, 160, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do push higher on AMC. Once we get above like 160, we could definitely get a decent move, but I won't get really excited until I see AMC over $2. So watch for that, but obviously 150 is the key level that we need to break first before we see a decent pop up, but I think that's going to be happening this week in my personal opinion. Now, if we go ahead and go and look at what's going on with the short shares, you guys can see we only have 350,000 short shares available to short here for AMC at a cost to borrow of 0.90%. Cost to borrow is also trending up. This is extremely bullish for AMC. Not only have they been getting less and less shares available to short, which is going to alleviate some of that pressure that we see to the downside and some of that manipulation, but you guys can see that cost to borrow is going up, so it's costing them more to short. So that is very, very bullish. Now, they have been dark pooling heavy. I don't have any dark pool data because the dark pool data would be from last trading day, but they've been dark pooling heavy. They did it all last week. I'm sure they're going to do it this week. So that is another way that they manipulate us. But having them have less short shares is always bullish, especially if we see cost to borrow over 1% or higher. That means AMC's price most likely is going to go up. Last time we saw cost to borrow spike up, we saw AMC absolutely go on a tear. When cost to borrow spiked high, this is what happened, and that happened on AMC and GME. And you guys can look at cost to borrow around these times. It absolutely shot up, and the price absolutely shot up with it. So this is letting us know that shorts are under pressure to maintain their position, and that we're seeing things behind the curtains, liquidity dry up, and problems arise for the shorts. 2.5 million short shares available to short at time of recording here for GME. They have a little bit more for GME, and cost to borrow has been a little bit lower. So we definitely want to see that go higher, but GME has been able to maintain maintain price a little bit better than AMC. So again, both stocks have their pros and cons, but this is what we're looking at as far as the meme stocks are concerned. I think this week is going to be bullish. So let's go ahead and move into SPY in the overall market. Again, we don't have too much news for the meme stocks. I think we're going to be moving up past those key levels that they've been fighting us all last week. And I think we're about to see actually some decent upside for both of the meme stocks. Again, I'm bullish on AMC and GME. Let's go ahead and move into SPY and show you guys why I'm bearish on SPY. And this is crazy because normally if SPY pulls back, everything pulls back, but I believe that we can defy the overall market on the meme stocks. SPY getting a false breakdown out of this rising wedge last week. You guys can see we have this rising wedge in play, and we have the same rising wedge that we saw back here before this correction down. We also have the same setup, RSI trending down, price trending up. Look how crazy this looks. RSI trending down, price trending up. That means SPY is going to flatten out and correct down. We're getting ready to break down on this rising wedge, and it can happen as early as this week. Now, I don't think it's going to be this week, but it definitely could start the precipice, like the beginning of everything could be this week. But next week and this week is definitely going to probably be the start of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be happening very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting near the end of this, and I think we're going to see a decent correction down. The only thing that could save it is like some crazy news that just came out of left field. I think that the AI bubble's popping. We saw Google earnings going down. We saw Microsoft. We saw Meta do okay, but all of these tech stocks are not able to keep their valuations up like they once were. And even if they have good earnings, they're not as good as these valuations that they have. So everything is just extremely overvalued. So I think we're going to see the market break down here, in my personal opinion. We have multiple data drops as well. We have retail sales. We have non-farm payrolls. We have unemployment, which I think is going to come out hot, which would be bearish. But then we also have exiting home sales and inflation. The main things this week are going to be unemployment and inflation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, inflation looks like it might come out a little bit bullish, so we might see a little bit of bullishness because of this on Friday. But starting on Wednesday, if unemployment does come out higher than 4.4, so if it comes out 4.5 or higher, that's going to be extremely bearish for the market. Now, if it comes out 4.3, that's going to be extremely bullish for the market, but the consensus in the forecast is it's going to come out about 4.4 or 4.5, and I think it might be leaning more towards 4.5, so expect for potential bearishness here on Wednesday. Now, we also have these technicals in play as well, like the rising wedge, the bearish divergence on the daily time frame. RSI, you guys can see bearishness is building as RSI trends down here on the weekly time frame. You guys can see also here red MACD. That means bearish momentum is building, and you guys can see we're starting that flattening out process. So these are all signs that we're about to break down. And on the monthly time frame, you guys can see that we are overbought, and that normally follows up with corrections as well. So multiple things on the macro telling us we're about to break down. As far as what you could see on Monday, though, I think we could see a little bit of a push to the upside here, pre-market dropping down, then a rally, and then a drop. So I think we're going to be pushing up, rallying, and then dropping, in my personal opinion, probably hitting our head around 692.60 or 695.03. I think this recovery that we've seen is starting to fizzle out. I think we're going to go a little bit higher, but then I think we're going to start pulling back. So Monday might be a little bit bullish, maybe even Tuesday, but around Wednesday to Thursday, I think we'll probably see bearishness. And then Friday could be a mixed bag depending on how inflation comes out, but it could be a little bit of bullishness. So that's what we're looking at for SPY. Just remember the major data drops here happening on Friday and Wednesday that will be affecting us and giving us major volatility. But guys, the VIX has been going up and things look bearish for the overall markets as the AI bubble potentially starts to pop. Let's go ahead and move into BTC crypto, show you guys what's going on there. Then we will wrap up this video. So Bitcoin recovering nasty, ladies and gentlemen. I bought some BTC and XRP on that dip. Again, you always want to do the opposite of the herd. When people are freaking out saying it's over and Bitcoin is dead, that's when you want to buy. Anytime you hear them say Bitcoin is dead or crypto is dead, literally that's when you want to buy. They said that last time when FTX crashed and went with the 15K. They said it's going to go to 3K. Everybody was giving these crazy bearish predictions, and I knew it was going to bounce, and it indeed bounced, ladies and gentlemen. Fear is at 7, ladies and gentlemen. This is, look how dark red that is. This is time to buy. not financial advice. We dipped all the way to 60K. Anyone who bought down there is now up massively, ladies and gentlemen. You could literally take profits just off of that as a trade. Again, while everyone was panicking, you could just cop the bottom and be up 19% on BTC alone. And then some other coins made way bigger moves. You want to see XRP back above $1.50. It's consolidating right underneath of it, but if it gets back above $1.50, that's going to be clear sign that we're actually going to see a continuation even higher. It definitely needs to see Bitcoin move up, but Bitcoin got back above the major level of 70,500. Very, very bullish. So Bitcoin could easily push back to 75 or 80K. And I think that this is actually validating the fractal. I think the move got a little bit exacerbated, and I broke it down with video and short stream and stuff like that. A short that I showed on stream and a short that I showed on video. That what we had was SPY dumping, and I think BTC got sold off as liquidity, which exacerbated this dump down. You guys can see that this fractal called for everything from this rally to this dump down, but it told us that the bottom would be about 75K to maybe even as low as 70K, but we dipped way, way lower than that. I think people got shaken out, people got panicked, but I think that this V-shaped recovery that we're seeing is saying that we're still probably tracking with this fractal. What I'm going to be looking to confirm if we are still tracking is I want to see BTC recover a little bit higher and then dip down and then make a higher low. That higher low is going to be what's telling me that we are going to continue with this fractal, and it's not RIP to the Bitcoin roadmap. I thought it might be RIP. Again, fractals track until they don't. I warned everybody about that. I also use technicals and other fundamentals in my analysis, so it's not just going off of the fractal. That's how we've been so accurate on BTC, calling the top around 115, 125, also calling the rally from 80 to 100K to 115, 125K, and we also called the bottom of the last bear market as well at that 15K level when we broke out of the falling wedge. I told everybody anyone who bought under 28K will literally be coming up, and look what happened, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. The reason why we follow that so much, because the crypto market is going to be following Bitcoin. If Bitcoin pumps, altcoins will pump. And it's becoming more and more so that only top altcoins are pumping when Bitcoin runs. XRP seen a new high, Ethereum seen a new high, but not every altcoin seen a new high on this last run. So you want to make sure that you're in top projects with good fundamentals and good tokenomics. But again, you guys can see we're seeing recovery across the board on all of the crypto coins. You guys can see Ethereum's up. Ethereum for $1,750, absolute steal, so that's obvious buy point. Next resistance for Ethereum would be $2,100. That's going to be your next resistance. $2,100, even $2,200, around that range is going to be your next major resistance. So if Ethereum is able to break above that and hold that, expect continuation to the upside. But mainly what you're going to be looking for is BTC to continue up. If BTC is able to keep holding the key level of 70,500, you're going to see it move towards 73, 75K, and maybe even high as 80 to 83K here, moving pretty soon. So I'm expecting more of a V-shaped recovery out of BTC, pushing to the upside, which means crypto will continue to recover as well. So make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. I think XRP is going to be pushing up past $1.50. And I believe that ETH is going to be moving up as well as Bitcoin makes its recovery and continues to track with the fractal. So guys, like and subscribe. This was your weekly outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. If you found this video informative, go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment down below. But if you don't want to do any of that, make sure you do this most of all. Make sure you have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.